All right, here we go with lesson 1 of the marketing topic for this year. Basically, what is marketing? Obviously, you can read through this, but basically, you're all exposed to numerous marketing messages from multiple sources each day. Think about the number of times you see things like advertisements on television, listen to things on radio, ads on YouTube, ads on buses, or as you're driving around. Most of it you aren't even aware of it, but you're constantly being bombarded with marketing messages trying to convince you to buy products or services. What I want you to do over this is copy these notes down in your book. You're shortly going to have a video to watch as well to go through that, so feel free to pause this video at any stage to get the notes down. I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly. But basically, marketing is crucial. It's one of the, we talked about operations and finance being cost centers. Marketing is a profit center. Basically, the whole business of marketing is to try and increase sales, increase revenue, thereby increasing profits that way. What is it? There's the official definition of it. However, the simpler one is just a series of interacting activities designed to plan, price, promote, and distribute products to present, so existing customers and potential customers, trying to give its new customers to join up. Again, feel free to pause the video to get the notes down. Again, financial goal, profit maximizer. It's a profit center, not a cost center, so it's aimed about increasing revenue, not reducing costs. Typically, marketing is increasing costs to try and increase sales even further. The expectation being that even though you're increasing costs, the sales that you are going to gain from increased marketing are going to more than make up for the increasing cost of marketing. Most businesses will have a marketing plan that sets out the actions and strategies and the methodologies they're going to do and how about going to and increase their sales. What are they going to sell, to who, where, how much? As you can see, it's interdependent with all the other business functions. We've looked at finance. Finance is basically determining how much money marketing can spend, developing budgets. Operations is determining how much capacity they have to make the increased products they're expecting to sell and delivering the actual in sales. And then human resources needs to find the people with the skills to design and implement the marketing plans. The concept of marketing has evolved over time. In the early part, basically, marketing was simply about taking orders for products and then delivering the goods or the service. From the 1920s, and particularly this developed in America, developed what they call the sales approach, which is basically starting to advertise and training a sales force, then taking orders and delivering goods and services. But the modern approach developed mainly from the 60s is you're figuring out what customers want and what they need, and then adapt a marketing concept, then advertise, train your sales force to do that, and then deliver the goods and services. So it's a much more involved process in modern marketing terms than it was basically 100 years ago. And as you can see, the production approach basically was just focused on the production of goods and services. You made stuff and then you tried to sell it. Again, summarised by the, if we make it, they will buy it. But sales approach basically emphasised the concept of selling the services, because you've got to differentiate yourself from competitors. With increased competition, you need to make your product or your service stand out. How are you going to make it stand out? Why would people buy yours instead of your competitors? And this largely involved hiring sales representatives, people who are responsible for building relationships and developing things with customers, keeping them on side. But the modern marketing approach is basically much more involved in market research, finding out what customers want and then satisfying that need. So figure out what they want, then developing a product or service to meet that need and then pitching it to those customers. And particularly from the 1980s in Australia, it was the first time that most families had discretionary income, money that they could afford to spend on a regular basis. So that could be on things like new clothes, new cars, entertaining. There typically wasn't a lot of money for that prior to the 1980s. You guys are lucky you've grown up in this period where there are typically large discretionary incomes, although COVID-19 is about to change all that, I think. So the marketing approach is customer oriented, right? Focusing on what the customers want, delivering it to them. Supported by marketing strategies, branding, advertising, positioning of your product, which we'll go into much detail later. And it's aimed at satisfying those customers' needs. And integrated with your business plan. So it's no good marketing coming up with brand new products and services that your operations people cannot deliver. That's where it falls down. So it needs to be integrated with the wider business plan. Also, particularly since the turn of the century, much more focused on corporate social responsibility, particularly things like green marketing. People are basically advertising themselves on how ethically they behave rather than being greedy corporates that we saw, particularly in the 80s. It's much more focused on customers. And it's all about building relationships with your customers. Remember the 80-20 rule, that businesses typically get 80% of their business from 20% of their customers. If you keep those 20% happy, the business keeps flowing. And the goal of marketing is to then move more of the customers into that 20%. And the types of market you have, actually, we'll leave it here today. We'll cover this one in the next lesson.